Hi, this is On Imagination with the ethical asshole. I am your host, the salty bitch, and this podcast is not a conspiracy. So I just saw an Instagram video on something called Archons, the Archons. And of course, it's me. So I jumped right into the internet and went, what does this mean? And I located its source, immediately went, oh, Gnosticism. Okay. So I want to take a step back and explain something in mathematics called the origin. Now, the origin is something that if you do not understand mathematically, you're not going to be able to integrate it into your own research. Yes, you're all going to be scientists now. You already are. Let's make sure you're good scientists. So I'm going to teach you how to do science the right way. So when it's the right way, you end up with high quality data, you end up with fact, and you end up with data. And you also stop relying on other people to tell you what they think. Because when you have somebody who's a bad scientist or they're not a scientist at all, they are not doing a fact check. They are not doing a data check. And I go on Instagram and I'm commenting all over the place. And somebody asked me the question, what's a data point? It never occurred to me that you guys may not know what a data point is. And I was like, oh. So I explained what a data point was, and I'm like, maybe I should teach you guys this stuff because scientists just kind of know. It's the way our brains are wired, and it really just dawned on me. I'm like, wait a minute, if your brain isn't wired like a scientist, then it's not going to be common sense for a scientist. So yeah, I'm going to tell you all of our dirt now. So this is the scientist telling you how scientists think. Because if you're not a scientist, it probably doesn't come naturally to you. Actually, it does. And everyone already does this. So the data point, just to give you an idea, you know that statement we all say, everything happens in threes? That's science. That is absolutely data points because you have pattern recognition at 3. That is called intuitive cognition. So it's stuff like that I'm going to teach you. And you're going to find that a lot of the stuff I give you, you already are doing. You're going to go, oh, that's what I do. Because science is literally inside of you. So an origin, the best example I'm going to give you on this is Rene Descartes' the Cartesian coordinate system. The Cartesian coordinate system, first of all, Cartesian is Descartes' Latin name. Descartes, however you want to say his name. So his name in Latin is Cartesian. So Rene Descartes discovered something called the Cartesian coordinate system. The coordinate system is how you find location using triangulation. You require 3 points. That way you can figure out where you are. First of all, in science, everything is a discovery. It is not an invention. This is very important. Mother Nature is the inventor. Scientists are the archaeologists who mine. We are rather intrusive, aren't we? We really are. We mine Mother Nature. That's what we're doing. We're nature miners, and we are discovering her information. She's got 18 academic disciplines that are basic disciplines. And these are her languages. She has 18 languages. And when you understand how to speak her languages, you can mine her we're very, very intrusive with her. So we do a lot of dissecting of Mother Nature so then we can translate what she's saying so that we understand what the truth is. And these 18 disciplines are broken down into 6 groups. And those 6 groups are music, art, theater stage, reading, writing, logic, linguistics, mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology. So when you understand all of these disciplines, you have the ability to understand Mother Nature because you can speak her language. So scientists then use some of those languages to then mine Mother Nature. This is called reverse engineering using intuition, which you guys might be calling channeling. Channeling is really scientific methods reverse engineering of intuition. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. We've been doing it for centuries. Only we know about it. So what's going on right now is a lot of non-scientists are starting to do science. And scientists are going, yeah, welcome to our hell. Mother Nature now owns your ass. That's pretty much how the conversation goes. But scientists are not people. So they don't do a lot of talking. And they tend to just kind of focus on the work because Mother Nature owns their ass. So my whole ass ownership of Mother Nature is me translating all this stuff to non-scientists so they have a better idea how to use this. So Descartes, when he discovered the Cartesian coordinate system, you get naming rights. That's pretty much all you get over here. You get naming rights, and that's about it. So he discovered the Cartesian coordinate system, which is literally how nautical science, how ships use triangulation to find their location on the ocean. You need latitude, longitude, and time. Those are the three pieces of information you need for a sextant to work when you're on the ocean. In addition to that, for instance, a great example of triangulation or of the Cartesian coordinate system, point of origin, destination, is when you want to lose weight. You weigh yourself on the scale. That is your origin weight or your point of origin or your starting weight. And then you want to create a goal weight, your weight goal. That is your destination. And then as you progress between these 2 points, that's how you know where you are in your journey. So you're marking your journey. This is the exact same type of science. So what scientists know is when you have an origin, all origins contain the common denominators of all of their successors. Now, an origin is different from a parent. A parent is a predecessor to a successor. So it's just predecessor, successor. Look up these words if you need to. Predecessor, successor. And it's a sequence of independent to dependent, independent to dependent. And that's where we are in our genealogical chain. What I am giving to you right now is called integrated mathematics from logic. This is like advanced logic. This is what you find here. So you have your origin, which is the very first independent without any predecessor. No origin has a parent. The origin is the first parent or independent. And then the origin produces a dependent. That dependent becomes independent and produces another one, and then you have a whole chain. So then you have a line of parents from the origin. Now, every origin passes on its common denominators. And the line that passes on of common denominators through the sequence is the common denominators. And the origin contains all the common denominators. So the origin literally has a spine that is made up of common denominators. And whenever you are looking for the origin, you're going to want to go back to the beginning. And this is a law, a natural law of the origin, that it's going to be the first. So there you go. It looks like that. And when you are, I miswrote it, it's going to be the cause. When you are looking at a timeline, you want to go back to the beginning. So the beginning of man, let's say it's around 150,000 years ago, but we didn't really start doing anything worth talking about until the oldest record I've been able to come down to is like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Göbekli Tepe. And so I'm going to put Göbekli Tepe. I believe that's the name. And that puts us to about, I think it's 10,000 BCE, maybe 40,000. I can't remember what. But then the next really interesting prominent thing is a temple in Uruk, which is located in the Fertile Crescent in modern day Iran. And that was called the Temple of Iana and Anu. And that's the Anunnaki. You may have heard about them going around. And that is, again, in Uruk. So now, and that's in 4000 BCE. So that is one of the first. I'm going to show you this graph for a minute. So the origin is going to be right around here. Now, I'm going to clarify that we have archaeological evidence of. If we don't have archaeological evidence, it's all conjecture. You really need to look up the word conjecture to understand, because there's a lot of conjecture going around and non-scientists have no idea about this. So they take conjecture and they eat it up. And scientists are going, oh, don't touch that. That's conjecture. Ew. And that's why scientists don't talk to non-scientist people, is because scientists know how to filter conjecture from fact. And they know about the origin with the spinal cord and the common denominators. This is why scientists use common denominators to look for truth, because we're tracking the origin. That's really what we're doing. So if someone comes along and they're trying to say, well, we're the first, but they cite a source like Gnosticism, which only came around in like the 1st century BCE, really? You are the origin? No, you're not. This is called narcissism. You've replaced the origin. In fact, this is exactly how narcissism works. Narcissists supplant the origin, which is why everyone's fucked up when they get associated with narcissism, is because your origin has been supplanted. And the origin is your spinal cord. So now, of your story, so when you have a narcissist, they supplant your origin and replace your entire storyline with their own story. That's why narcissism is so damaging. So now you've got narcissist historians who are making shit up, telling you that their non-origin story only began in the 1st century BCE. Well, guess what? Gobelki Deki existed like 8,000 years before you did. So clearly, it is not the origin. So when you're looking for which is the right religion, and you do not have conjecture, and you have science that you are using, or basic mathematics, which is science, to figure out which religion is the right one, you want to go back as far as you can possibly go back. Now, I'm going to save you some time. I narrowed it down to 3 sources. Please check my sources. Ancient Egypt is pretty damn fuck old. Ancient Mesopotamia religion is fuck old. That goes back to 4000 BCE with the Anunnaki. Irish mythology. Old Norse is pretty close, but that's clearly a successor and significant relativity to ancient Mesopotamia, but a successor nonetheless. Anything after these 3 things, it's conjecture. It's a copycat. It's a Windows. So you want to go back to the origin. You want to go all the way back to the beginning. So you're going to be looking for religions, the oldest religions in the world. You want to go fuck old. Now, the Mayans are exempt from this. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to save you time. The Mayans are exempt from this because, well, to be blunt, they figured it all out and they got it right. The Mayans absolutely got it right. That's why their calendar is so fuck good. But they were not contaminated by the Holy Roman Empire. So as a result, their stories are pretty clear. It's gorgeous, clean history. There's almost no, it's gorgeously clean history. So you can clearly see mythology, you can clearly see the religion, you can clearly see the science, and there's no contamination. So the Mayan is a really great source that you can use as a data point so that you can compare other religions to see which ones line up to the Mayan. That's why I cite the Irish myths, because those fuck a line, because there's almost no contamination in the Irish line. Now, this is St. Patrick's. Absolute St. Patrick is to blame for this one, to be credited for this one. The reason why the Irish mythologies are so pure is because St. Patrick preserved them. So what happened is it integrated with Christianity instead of being completely replaced by it. So the Irish mythologies, the Irish annals, the Irish invasion, the invasion of Ireland, those documents are pure. They were passed down properly by master bards and druids, which is part of the esoteric sciences, from generation to generation up until the 1600s. And then Norse, the Old Norse they worked with the Irish. There's a lot of Norse influence with the Irish myths. So the Old Norse adopted a lot of stuff, and they traveled. They went Viking. So they traveled all over the place. And because they were Viking all over the place, they picked up a lot of stuff. So Old Norse is a hodgepodge. Just to give you an idea, Freya has a chariot pulled by 2 cats. If that doesn't scream Egyptian, I don't know what does. So Old Norse is a hodgepodge that pulled from a lot of different sources, but it still has a lot of common denominator nuggets. So I wouldn't throw Old Norse out like the Druge. The Druge is referred in the ancient Mesopotamia religions, but also the drog, which is an adaptation of the druj of ancient Mesopotamia, got carried over into Old Norse mythology. So you're going to see a lot of resemblance, and Old Norse is fantastic to be able to sit down and just use it as a source. Don't use it as a common denominator, but you can definitely see how it evolved and got shifted around and molded a little bit. Now, when you are looking at ancient Mesopotamia, you want to go back to ancient Mesopotamia religion. Literally, that is what it is still called to this day. And you're going to be looking for Anu and the three Anunnaki, which is like EI, EA, it's an ash, EA. And then you're going to be looking for Anu, and you're going to be looking for Ishtar. You're going to want to look for the Angalta, Angalta, and Iana or Iana. Inanna is another one. And then you're also going to be looking, of course, ancient Egyptian. The ancient Egyptian is spot on. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting, is around the second millennium, around 2000 BCE, things changed because a society only has a 2,000-year lifespan. So every 2,000 years, the society crumbles. Whatever is not held up by truth, it crumbles. And, well, only the lies crumble. So whatever has truth gets carried over. Now, there's one thing that's been carried over from all of these over and over again, even though it's been around since 4000 BCE, and that's the Anunnaki. Now, in addition to that, Zarathustra in the 7th century BCE, he did a lot of work, and he is the founder of the esoteric sciences. Now, his work came out of ancient Mesopotamia. So ancient Mesopotamia religions is the mythology. And there's no science we can use to apply to that. All we can do is look for common denominators and string up the common denominators. But if you are using a successor, you've got to keep this in mind. If you're using a successor, then you're just copying the copier. You're not actually using a common denominator, and you have to be able to tell the difference. This is where a lot of people don't know this. So they'll hear copies of copies of copies and go, oh, well, that's a common denominator. No, it's a copy of a copy of a copy. You're on a successor. So first you have to remove all the successors. You have to remove all the successors. You have to locate all of the origins, and then you want to take the origins and look at the common denominators. The origins are the Mayans, the Irish Annals, ancient Egyptian, ancient Mesopotamia. Everything else is a copy. Ancient Greek got muddled. I wouldn't use it. Because there's so much contamination with the ancient Greek. But the Old Irish, the Old Norse, the Norse mythology is a really, because they've got their own source, but it's interesting. Now, Zarathustra then discovered the esoteric sciences. He reverse engineered the esoteric sciences and he put it inside so this is how you do these sciences. And then Zarathustra, who partnered up with Cyrus the Great, Cyrus the Great, spread this information all over the place. Specifically, Confucius, Hinduism, and ancient Greece. So now you're going to want to take a look at Zarathustra's work. Now, Zarathustra's work made his ways into a man's hands by the name of Pythagoras. And Pythagoras went, holy fucking shit, look at these esoteric sciences. You know what I'm going to do with this? I'm going to create philosophy. And that's what philosophy is. Philosophy is Zarathustra's esoteric sciences converted properly into an academic discipline of how to do the esoteric sciences Zarathustra's way. Except they decided to exclude the first part, which is what the Healing Garden does, is we restored the first part of the esoteric sciences. But you got to do philosophy the right way, which is Pythagoras' way, which is Zarathustra's way. Now, when Zarathustra and Cyrus the Great spread his information all over the place and taught everybody the esoteric sciences, Confucius was spot on with the work. It wasn't exact. And it went spiritual with it. So there's ethics and spiritual. And what they walked away with Confucius was like 50% of Zarathustra's work. They were missing a chapter, a big chapter. I don't know why. I have to do a lot more research to figure out why they only... So Zarathustra came out with 2 schools, 2 sciences, actually 3. Let me think for a minute. Philosophy does ethics, the esoteric sciences, and the academic disciplines. There's three. But for some reason, Confucius only adopted one of those. I don't know why. I would love to know why. Hinduism only adopted one of those schools also. Pythagoras adopted all three of them. So philosophy, done the right way, is the only current esoteric sciences from Zarathustra's work that actually did this the right way. Now, here is the uber awesome, amazing thing inside of philosophy done the right way. When you do philosophy the right way, you learn how Zarathustra did what he did, and you learn how to do it, and then you can do it, which means you can then reverse engineer the esoteric sciences, which is what I do. So then, well, Rome came along and decided to rewrite all of history, destroy all of that, and then build two new religions. So anything after the 4th century BCE, things start to get really icky. By the 4th century CE, shit has hit the fan. Rome's wiped all the educational systems out because they decided to take out Zarathustra's schools, which were the philosophy schools at that time. And that's why we had the Dark Ages, because they decided we didn't need education after all. About 600 years later, they went, oh shit, this is really bad. The king can't even speak proper grammar. We need something back. And so in 1088, they revived or attempted to revive education. But Rome, they're really good at raping people. Rape of the Sabine women. They're really good at killing brothers. Romulus. So aside from warring, raping, pillaging, plundering, Rome's not really good when it comes to education. But hey, why not create your own educational system? So that's Rome. And then they pass down that educational system from generation to generation right into your hands, which is probably why we have school shootings today. So when you step into the world of the esoteric sciences with philosophy done right, you require the ancient Greek educational mindset, the ancient Greek psychology, which, because it's Zarathustra and Pythagoras, they thought of this, trains you how to have their psychology when you study philosophy the right way. When you are going through your research and when you are studying what is out there and people are telling you all of their bullshit, fact check everything. Go back to the origin and look for the dates. If it's not an origin, then it's a copycat. If it's a copycat, they're just copying from someone else's bullshit. Gnosticism was a copycat bullshit religion that was invented by the Romans around the Roman time period. That was a branch off of the Nicene Christian, which is why the Nicene Creed for Nicene Christianity came out in the 4th century to say, okay, this is the Christian religion, because they had a whole lot of different variations of the Christian religion, which was again made up and fictionalized by the Roman Empire in the Council of Nicaea in 360, 320 CE. So seeing as how there are other religions that predate all of this back to 4000 BCE, that's the origin. Now, there's one other really interesting fact that you guys would be really interested to know is the rod of caduceus. The rod of caduceus is the only symbol that goes all the way back to 4000 BCE. And it has Zoroaster's, Zarathustra's winged sun as an emblem, which is the same emblem that Zoroaster used for his religion because of the ties to the Anunnaki. Just saying. In addition to that, the two snakes that wrap around the rod of caduceus were actually the ancient Mesopotamia underworld gods' symbol, snakes and dragons, for healing, creation, medicine, and cure, which is why I cannot pronounce this god's name. It's like Nigichides or something like that. And he was the underworld god of ancient Mesopotamia. And he is the one who had the rod of caduceus. But at that time, it was not called the rod of caduceus. Now, Mercury, the Roman god Mercury, was adopted from Lu, the Irish mythology Lu, L-U-G-H, and he was assigned the rod of caduceus. Lu, and this is why I go back to the Irish annals as having a lot of similarities. Just read the Irish annals. It's the only mythology in the entire world that begins with, so aliens came down to the planet Earth and took over Ireland, and they're called the Tuatha Danann. Just saying. So take a look at the Irish Annals, take a look at ancient Egyptian mythology, and take a look at ancient Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki. Look for the origin, look for the common denominators. The common denominators, that is where the truth is. Happy hunting. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.